All right, so we're looking at 1.4, the associative property. So just like with the commutative property, addition and multiplication are the things we're talking about when we're talking about associative. You can be done only with the addition and the multiplication. So commutative, we moved around the numbers, or we moved around the letters, the variables, but here we're actually going to change the parentheses. So A plus BC in the parentheses, we can rewrite that as A plus B in parentheses and the C out of the parentheses. We just slid them over. A times B and C inside the parentheses, move them over. A and B are inside the parentheses times C. So you're moving the parentheses. Or the way I keep them apart is commutative. Commute means to go from one place to another. So if your parents commute to get to work, that means they're going from your house to their work. And you're actually literally moving them from one place to another. That's how I remember commutative, because you're actually commuting the numbers or the letters from one place to another. Here, you're just sliding the parentheses around. So we're saying, okay, these two are associates right now. Associate is somebody you kind of know. So right now, B and C are associating together, but over here now, A and B are associating. So it changes who it is. Same thing here, B and C are associating, but when you get to this part, A and B are associating. So let's use that, okay? So we're going to use the associative property to rewrite these with equivalent expressions. So again, we're just moving the parentheses. So A plus B plus 2. Keeping all the addition, just sliding the parentheses over. Here, 3 times W times X. So again, sliding those parentheses over. Remember, you can add or multiply in any order you want to. It does not matter. And that's really the most important thing about the associative and the commutative property. All right. So we're going to do some calculations, and I do this because of the fact that there's huge differences whether people realize it or not. So we're going to start with 3 times 4 in parentheses squared and 3 times 4 squared. So remember our order of operations. We've got to do parentheses first. So when we have parentheses here, we need to do what's inside first. So we're looking at 3 times 4, which is 12 squared, and 12 squared is 144. So now if we look over here, there's no parentheses. My next step would be exponents. So 3 times 4 squared, which is 16. This is only attached to the 4. It has no attachment to the 3 at all. 3 times 16 is 48. Big difference in the answer. Let's do the next one. 3 times 5 squared and 3 times 5 squared. So again, I say my parentheses. 3 times 5 is 15. Exponents. 15 squared. So 15 squared would be 225. Over here, we're looking at no parentheses, so we do exponents next. 5 squared is 25. We only have multiplication left. If you can't do this one in your head, think of quarters and a dollar. We have 3 quarters. 3 quarters would be 75. All right, so now we're going to do just some problems to practice order of operations, associative, commutative, everything we've kind of talked about. So first we have 4 times y squared minus 5 when y equals 3. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to put the y equals 3 in. I substituted first. I want to do parentheses first. 3 times 4 is 12 squared minus 5. I do exponents next. 12 squared would be 144 minus 5, which would be 139. Okay, looking at 6 times x plus 12, where x is 8. I rewrite my problem. So x is 8. Go to my order of operations. My order of operations is parentheses first. 8 plus 12 is 20. 6 times 20 is 120. All right. Here's a little bit more complicated problem, but I think we can handle it. Every t is equivalent to a 2. So t is 2 here plus 6 over 5 times 2 squared. 6 on top. 2 squared would be 4. I'm going to go ahead and just keep going up here with this problem. And now, looking at this problem, I do multiplication, division next. Well, I got to do the multiplication here before I can do the division. So I'm looking at 6 over 20. Now, in order to add these together, the first thing I'm going to do is simplify that fraction just a little bit, make it a little easier on myself. 6 and 20, I can divide both by 2. And there's my 1. And remember, I can do that anytime I want. I can multiply or divide by 1. So in this case, I get 3 over 10. Now, in order to add them, they have to have the same common denominator. Since this is 10, my common denominator is going to be 10. So if I'm looking at this as 2 over 1, again, multiplying by 1, there's my identity property. 10 times 2 would give me 20. 10 times 1 would give me 10. So when all is said and done, I have 23 tenths as my answer. All right, last one we're going to do here. Sorry for my wet paper. X is 2. So x plus 4 times x minus 3. So we plug in that 2. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 2 minus 3 equals negative 1. And now when doing the multiplication, 6 times negative 1 is negative 6.